I let go of so much, and I gave it to him. And no amount of I'm sorry's will ever undo it. Hurt people hurt people.
Justin Baldoni just ripped Blake Lively apart after she tried to destroy his reputation with her manipulative lies and baseless accusations.
This isn't gonna end well for you, Blake. Sorry.
He made it clear that he is a man of dignity, someone who won't sit back and let women like Blake play their pathetic Hollywood games to ruin innocent men.
She's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
Justin Baldoni is finally speaking about how exhausted he is from the year of emotional stress dealing with It Ends With Us.
Blake Lively really thought she could pull an Amber Heard 2.0 and get away with it. She thought she could ruin Justin Baldoni's entire career by throwing around some bogus harassment allegations, expecting Hollywood to blindly take her side because, well, she's Blake Lively.
I don't like her. She seems like a bully. She was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat.
She strutted in thinking Justin would crumble under pressure, that he'd fold like a cheap tent and just hand her the victory on a silver platter. $250 million, that's how much she sued him for, convinced she could silence him and paint herself as some helpless victim. What a massive mistake.
His holidays ruined, and now his whole career is attempted to be ruined by Blake and the lawsuit. So I can only imagine if he was this tough before it all dropped, imagine how much tougher it was after.
Justin Baldoni didn't just fight back. He flipped the entire script on her. He countersued her for $400 million, instantly turning the tables. In one swift move, Blake went from attacker to full-on damage control mode.
Actor-director Justin Baldoni is now suing his former co-star Blake Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds, seeking more than $400 million in damages, accusing them of defamation and extortion.
And guess what? It's not working. Hollywood, the public, even the same media that used to drool over her, are all turning against her. They're seeing through her lies. The illusion is breaking, and now she's scrambling, desperate to hold on to whatever scraps of credibility she has left.
I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover or time to heal. I had a intense year.
And let's be clear, this is only the beginning of her downfall. Her career crashing, her finances in jeopardy, her reputation beyond saving, and Justin Baldoni is making sure she never recovers. Blake thought she had power. She thought she could control the narrative. But the moment she stepped into that courtroom, reality hit her like a truck. She wasn't prepared for what was about to happen.
Parties, of course, meeting for the first time in court today. It was about a 90-minute hearing.
She wasn't ready for Justin Baldoni to absolutely obliterate her lawsuit in just 90 minutes. That's right. 90 minutes is all it took for her case to start crumbling like a stale Hollywood popcorn bucket.
He told us that Justin Baldoni denied those claims of sexual harassment and only tried to appease Blake Lively because she was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat. He had to bend over backwards just to get her to shut up and complete the film.
She thought she had the upper hand, but no. She walked into a courtroom completely unarmed, going up against a legal team that was not here to play games. And within an hour and a half, she was already taking L's left and right. Every single motion her team filed, denied. One after another, like a brutal slap in the face. Not one, not two, but every single one of her legal attempts to control the narrative got thrown straight in the trash.
I had anxiety because I'm not feeling like my full self. And yet, I came today, despite, no sleep and not feeling great and, all of the barriers.
Oh, and her pathetic attempt to gag Justin's legal team? Yeah, that got shut down too. She was desperate to silence him, desperate to keep the truth from coming out. She probably thought she could bully the court into handing her special treatment just because she's an A-list actress. She was wrong.
In a world where sometimes people judge you before they give you a chance.
The judge laughed her out of the room and refused to grant the gag order, which means Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, now has free rein to expose every single one of her lies.
None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty person.
Blake's legal team got destroyed so badly, they looked like a bunch of clueless interns on their first day in a law office. They had no counter-arguments, no defense, just blank stares and stammering while Friedman ripped their case apart like a bad movie script.
She decided to blame him, and boy, did she open up a hornet's nest and learn, be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for, and you're not winning it.
She thought her Hollywood status would save her, that her influence would somehow make the court bow down to her. But instead, she got publicly humiliated. In front of the judge, in front of the media, in front of everyone watching. It was a legal bloodbath.
He is, his agent is Ari Emanuel. He's a powerful Hollywood guy, and we all respond to Hollywood power. And there's a hypocrisy and a fraudulence there that the public is picking up on. And so that's really interesting now.
But honestly, are we even surprised? Blake Lively has been on a power trip for years, and this case was just the latest example of her overstepping and failing miserably. This woman really thought she could hijack Justin Baldoni's movie, erase him from his own project, and act like she was the genius behind it all.
A lot of material success and a lot of emotional stress. It's very hard on me and my family.
Let's talk about how she tried to steal It Ends With Us right out of Justin's hands. The man spent 5 years developing this film, pouring his heart into it, carefully crafting every part of it. And then in walks Blake Lively, deciding that she knows better than the guy who actually made the damn movie. She forced script rewrites, pushed herself into director-level decisions, and even had the audacity to demand Final Cut approval like she was Martin Scorsese or something.
The judge chose to not impose the gag order on Justin Baldoni's attorney Brian Friedman today, but did threaten to move up the trial if the media press war continued.
Final Cut approval? Who does she think she is? She was hired to act, not take over the entire production. But no, that wasn't enough for her. She had to shove Justin aside and make sure everything revolved around her. And the absolute worst part? She literally banned Justin from properly attending his own movie premiere. Let that sink in. The man who put years of work into this project, the person responsible for bringing it to life, was forced to stay in a basement while Blake pranced around like Hollywood royalty.
That Justin Baldoni, ultimately, by the time they got to the premiere, was mandated by Blake Lively to spend the night in the basement, away from his co-stars, and didn't even get to see the final cut of his own movie because Blake Lively insisted that she be the one to approve it, until he watched it on the screen with his editors.
She didn't even let him see the final cut of the movie until it was too late. She made sure she had full control, as if she was the director, the producer, and the star all rolled into one. She wanted all the power, but none of the responsibility.
The film was steamrolled by Blake, which just showed their inexperience as producers. And I say that with all respect. They got completely controlled and taken over by Blake.
And you'd think, after all that, she'd at least make sure the movie was about what it was supposed to be about. Nope. Instead of actually promoting the film's message about domestic abuse awareness, she used the whole thing as a glorified PR stunt for her hair care brand and Ryan Reynolds' gin company. She hijacked a movie about serious issues and turned it into a walking commercial for her products. Because of course she did.
Here's where he goes into why he made the film.
I haven't talked about this a lot because I want to be very mindful in the conversation around this movie to not take the emphasis off of what is happening to women at alarming rates.
Absolutely.
This wasn't about telling a powerful story. It wasn't about artistic integrity. It was about Blake Lively making everything about herself. Again. And now, she's paying the price. The public isn't buying it anymore. Hollywood isn't buying it anymore. The judge sure as hell isn't buying it. She thought she could take Justin Baldoni down, but instead, he's the one tearing her entire empire apart. And at this rate, there's no coming back for her.
I want to eliminate as many barriers.
Blake Lively really thought she could play the innocent victim and get away with it. She thought Hollywood would blindly believe her sob story, that her A-list name would carry her through this lawsuit unscathed. But here's the problem. She left behind a trail of receipts, and Justin Baldoni has them all.
Justin does a better job, in my opinion, of providing receipts and showing full context.
Let's talk about the leaked text messages and emails that completely destroy every single claim Blake has made. She stood in court with a straight face, crying about how Justin made her uncomfortable, acting like she was some poor actress forced to endure a toxic work environment. And yet, her own text messages prove she invited him to her trailer multiple times. Yes, you read that right. This woman, who now wants to pretend she was terrified of Justin, was casually texting him, asking him to come over and hang out.
She's basically saying that she does not want to sit down for a deposition with Brian Friedman. Like, I know that this girl grew up rich and privileged, but how rich we talking? You know what I'm saying? Because does she think she's like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your lawyer?
But wait, it gets worse. Not only was she personally inviting him to spend time with her, but she was also texting him about how much she loved working with him. She called him a ball buster in a joking way, completely contradicting her own pathetic attempt to claim she was harassed. How do you go from praising someone, joking around, and inviting them to your trailer, to suddenly saying they made you feel unsafe? It's not just suspicious, it's downright laughable.
Blake's Lively's complaint of harassment. He called me sexy. I felt so uncomfortable. Why would you do that? Well, here's one point where she's calling him a ball buster. I'm just a ball buster.
And Justin isn't just talking about these contradictions. He has them in writing. His 179-page lawsuit is packed with evidence that proves Blake is a liar, a manipulator, and a fraud. Every single accusation she made against him.
We just went through Justin's 179-page lawsuit, and I am shook.
There's a text message, an email, or a video clip that contradicts it. Every tearful statement she made in court, there's a receipt proving she's full of it. She built this entire lawsuit on lies, and now the truth is about to destroy her. She thought Hollywood would blindly believe her. She thought the industry would protect her because she's Blake Lively. But here's the thing, Hollywood loves receipts, and the receipts say otherwise.
She is accused of having turned the whole cast of It Ends With Us against Justin.
Now, let's talk about Ryan Reynolds, the so-called dragon that was supposed to protect Blake and fight this battle alongside her. Oh boy, did that backfire spectacularly. Ryan really thought his A-list status would shield them from any backlash. He thought his Deadpool jokes and charm would make the public ignore the glaring holes in Blake's story. Instead, he made an absolute fool of himself.
He's a very small, insecure man, and so what makes Ryan feel good about himself is money and power and proximity to power.
Ryan had one job: stand by Blake and make her look like a victim. But what did he do instead? He went on SNL and turned the entire lawsuit into a joke. Yes, in the middle of a case where his wife is claiming she was sexually harassed and emotionally traumatized, he decided the best move was to mock the situation on national television. This man literally cracked jokes about the lawsuit, making it look even faker than it already was. And the public noticed. Social media turned on him in an instant. Fans started calling him out, asking the obvious question. If Blake was really telling the truth, why is Ryan treating this like a comedy skit?
There was this vicious reaction to this. These are just some of the top comments that were on SNL's Instagram posts. They wrote, the top comment here, it was funny until the cringe Ryan Reynolds couple made it awkward. Read the room, get out. Could have done without Ryan and Blake, so exhausting. Missing Ryan Gosling, which is really funny.
Hollywood took notice too. Brands that once lined up to work with Ryan are now questioning their association with him. His business empire is at risk, and it's all because he chose to back one of the biggest PR disasters of the decade.
Get it? He's just being his funny Deadpool self, guys. So ironic, and it's so funny. He's like mocking the situation.
Let's talk numbers. Ryan's wealth isn't just sitting in a vault somewhere. His net worth is tied up in brand deals. Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile, Wrexham FC, all of these are business ventures that depend on his public image. And guess what? That image is falling apart.
I didn't know Saturday Night Live approves bullying from Ryan and Blake, and that is kind of one of the, first and foremost, deep ironies of what's going on here, is the fact that Saturday Night Live has made itself almost an enemy, I would say, of half of America.
His credibility is vanishing fast. The very same people who used to admire him are now questioning his judgment. And let's be real, he's not dumb. He knows what happens when Hollywood turns on you. He saw what happened to Amber Heard, to Kevin Spacey, to every single celebrity who got exposed as a fraud. And right now, his name is attached to one of the most embarrassing Hollywood scandals in years.
He really sees this all the way through and makes sure we get to discovery and proves how disgusting some of these high-level celebrities can be.
That's why sources are now whispering that Ryan might abandon Blake to save himself. Think about it. Why would he go down with a sinking ship? His career is still salvageable if he cuts ties now. And if there's one thing Hollywood celebrities love more than loyalty, it's self-preservation. But let's be honest, it's already too late. The internet is destroying Blake Lively.
Because what's actually funny to him is not the sexual harassment. What's funny to him is that he found a tool to be able to stage a hostile takeover of a business. And they were high. They were totally high on their own supply of power. They were enjoying it. They were enjoying humiliating Justin Baldoni. Like I said, they got so close.
She thought she was untouchable. She thought she was too powerful, too beloved to ever get canceled. But she was wrong. Cancel Blake Lively is trending worldwide, and her fan base is disappearing faster than her lawsuit is falling apart. People aren't just criticizing her, they're boycotting her projects.
You guys went to the New York Times. Oh, nobody could be bigger than the New York Times before you filed your lawsuit, as all of the evidence is indicating, because you wanted to set the public narrative against Justin Baldoni. Now that it's backfiring, you're like, hey, I want people gagged. This is unprofessional to go to the press. Everyone sees right through you and Ryan.
Remember when Blake used to be one of Hollywood's golden girls? That's over. She's now being compared to Amber Heard, and not in a good way. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, everyone is picking apart her case, analyzing every contradiction, exposing every single lie.
It's part of being in the public eye. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him.
And here's the worst part for Blake. Even the people who once supported her are abandoning ship. Let's talk Colleen Hoover for a second. This woman personally picked Blake to star in It Ends With Us. She was a huge supporter of Blake's career. But what did she just do? Scrubbed Blake from her social media. Gone. Deleted. Like Blake never existed. That is not normal behavior for someone who supports their lead actress. That is Hollywood's way of saying we're done with you. And it's not just Colleen Hoover. Hollywood as a whole is turning its back on Blake. Where are all the celebrities rushing to defend her? Where are her past co-stars, her Hollywood friends? Why isn't anyone speaking up in her defense?
Is they're watching everyone on TikTok, they're watching everyone on Instagram say, what you did is not okay. And they're standing in front of the world and they're saying, we can't be canceled because we're too connected. So what? Sorry for the rest of you guys. Sorry for the rest of you idiots who are beneath us. We just have to make a phone call to Ari Emanuel and we can get into a skit. And how we treat people doesn't matter.
Because they know the truth. They know she's guilty as hell. Blake Lively burned every bridge she had in this industry. She thought she could manipulate her way to the top, but now everyone is watching her fall. And nobody is reaching out a hand to catch her. Blake Lively really thought she could come out of this lawsuit unscathed. She thought she could smear Justin Baldoni's name, win in court, and walk away victorious. But reality has hit her like a freight train, and now she's staring at a $400 million financial nightmare that she has no way of escaping.
I had anxiety because I'm not feeling like my full self. And yet I came today despite, no sleep and not feeling great and, all of the barriers.
Let's do the math. Blake Lively's net worth, $50 million. That's it. That's all she has. And if you think that's anywhere close to the amount she's going to owe when she loses this lawsuit, think again. Now, some might say, but Ryan Reynolds is worth $350 million. Won't he cover for her? Oh, honey, no. See, Ryan's money isn't just sitting in a vault somewhere. It's tied up in investments, Aviation Gin, Mint Mobile, Wrexham FC. He can't just pull out hundreds of millions overnight to bail out his wife from a disaster she created.
And I would say another reason that the public didn't respond well to this was because we have already accurately deduced that the both of you are raging narcissists.
And let's be real, why would he? This man is watching his own reputation go up in flames just because he decided to stand beside Blake in this mess. Do you really think he's going to risk his entire fortune just to protect her when it's becoming painfully clear that she's losing? If Justin wins this counter lawsuit, Blake and Ryan will be financially wiped out, gone, done. Their whole empire will crumble.
Both of you are raging narcissists.
And here's the best part. Hollywood is not going to save them.
And then what happens when your masculinity is in question? You fall into depression, you have anxiety, you feel like you're failing, that you're not showing up to anything as your full authentic self. You compensate that's when you start to hurt yourself and other people.
Because let's not forget what happens to actors who lose massive defamation lawsuits. Ask Amber Heard. She thought she could take on Johnny Depp, play the victim, and walk away with a career. Instead, she got blacklisted from Hollywood, publicly humiliated, and exiled to Spain. Studios want nothing to do with actors who get exposed as liars in court. And now, Blake is about to face the exact same fate.
And the entire reason we got here was because you tried to play this in the press. Like, you went to the New York Times to try to take him down and to set a public narrative. And now that it's backfiring, you want out.
Think about it. What studio in their right mind is going to work with her now? What producer is going to risk millions on a woman who got caught manipulating the media, fabricating allegations, and trying to destroy a man's career? Answer: none. Blake has officially become too toxic to touch. No matter how famous she is, no matter how many connections she had, her name is now tarnished beyond repair.
It does seem like by some of the texts that we've seen that they have a very friendly relationship at the beginning of this process. Clearly that started to fall apart as time went on.
And speaking of connections, let's talk about Hollywood's final betrayal. Blake probably thought her powerful friends would come rushing in to save her. She was wrong. Scarlett Johansson? Silent. Taylor Swift? Not a word. Any of her past A-list co-stars? Nowhere to be found. Nobody is coming to her defense.
I know this gets overused now, but she did FAFO. Like, she thought she could blame all of her negative press on him. He's a weakling. She's Blake Lively with Ryan Reynolds, her dragon.
Even the New York Times, which originally published articles supporting her, is now quietly backing away. They're not doubling down. They're not pushing her narrative anymore. They see what's coming, and they don't want to go down with her. And here's where it gets really bad. Not a single actress has stepped forward to say, "Yes, I stand with Blake." Not one.
Surrounded by friends because he's a very small, insecure man. And so what makes Ryan feel good about himself is money and power.
Not even her Gossip Girl castmates, people who worked with her for 6 years. They haven't said a single thing in her defense. If anything, they're probably laughing behind the scenes at how badly she's imploding. Even the A Simple Favor cast, a movie where she played alongside Anna Kendrick, is completely ignoring her. Nobody is posting, nobody is showing support, nobody is associating with her at all. Blake Lively is being erased from Hollywood in real time. And it's not even subtle anymore. Colleen Hoover, the woman who personally handpicked Blake for It Ends With Us, has now scrubbed all mentions of her from social media. No promotion, no support, nothing. This is what happens when Hollywood decides you're done. And at this point, there's no coming back from it. Blake thought she could destroy Justin Baldoni. Instead, he's the one destroying her. She walked into this lawsuit thinking she was going to crush him, that she'd silence him, paint herself as a victim, and come out on top. Now look at her.
You think you can simply hit up your A-list friends to further enable your abuse. Basically what they are signaling by hitting this carpet and intentionally getting photographed.
She's on the verge of financial ruin. If she loses this lawsuit, she won't just lose a little money. She will be financially obliterated, her career dead. No studio will touch her. Her reputation destroyed. Even her own fans are turning against her. And the best part? Her lawsuit has backfired so hard, she might even owe Justin millions more in damages when this is all over. This isn't just a small legal battle. This is a career-ending disaster. And Blake Lively walked straight into it. Blake Lively thought she could destroy Justin Baldoni, but now her career is in flames. Subscribe for the full breakdown of her downfall.